This is Richard Rueda with career. I'm sorry.
I don't see Derek
Okay.
in the attendees, but I do see Ann, and I just made her panelist.
Okay. So and Career Connect is part of the National Transition Conversation. And if you're new to Career Connect, I will just tell you it's an amazing website. Not only because I like it and I've used it for 20 years. We've got blogs, we have articles, we have success stories of blind folks from all walks of life who we've interviewed, and great stuff. If you missed yesterday's event, like Olaya said, it is being recorded. It was recorded, and we will put that up there very soon. One of the things that Career Connect has been gravitated towards is mentoring. We've been asked mentoring. How do you tackle mentoring? What are you going to do on mentoring? And one of the things we're going to do, and Paul Schrader and I talked about this yesterday, is we're going to launch a series, what we believe we will call Career Conversations, where we will be interviewing blind folks once, twice, or even 3 times monthly in real time on a webinar platform like this, where we will get to interview them. You will get to ask them questions. Your students will get to ask these folks questions. There'll be scientists, doctors, engineers, people who are teachers, people who work in the farm and automotive, anything out there you want us to interview, let us know. We want to make Career Connect a even more tangible resource for you and your consumers. So with that, we had a lot on day one. We talked about pre-employment transition services and mentoring, how mentoring and the vocal rehab system worked. I'm going to bring on Steve Allen with PolicyWorks and his colleagues, because we've been meeting since June to put these sessions together. And at the top of the next hour, Ann Kwong is going to be interviewing a group of folks who are both mentors and mentees from various agencies and organizations. So that's what's coming up at the top of the next hour. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Richard. I'm glad to be here again today. Actually, I'm looking forward to today, maybe even more than yesterday. And the reason for that is I always love to hear the stories. Those are the most important things. Those really do tell the story. You know, one of the things that we all focus on in this community is advocacy, right? Self-advocacy. And that's at the core of those pre-ed services that we talked about yesterday. But one of the things that I would ask everyone to do is to take a look at that presentation yesterday and the stories that are going to be told today, and think about how you can advocate for supports like peer mentoring and mentoring programs. If you're a young person with a disability or a visual impairment or blindness, you know, how can you reach out and let your transition coordinator or counselor know that you could benefit from a mentor? And if you are an administrator, you know, reaching out and figuring out ways to do that. We showed yesterday with the presentation from Christine Johnson from Impact that
Somebody's echoing.
Might be Cindy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we showed yesterday through Christine's presentation with the Intact on pre-eds that there is a way to use VR pre-eds money to support peer mentoring as a support for those 5 required services. And this field of peer mentoring and the job of a peer mentor and the potential of it moving forward is just beginning to emerge. I believe 5 and hope that 5 and 10 years from now, peer mentoring is, and I hesitate to use the word common because I don't think it's common at all, but that it becomes a part of a staple for the way we engage young people and truly engage them in helping them find their own way and supporting that effort. So it's been an honor to work with Richard and the team all year long, since June, and I look forward to doing that some more in the future and hearing my my friend and colleague Ann Kwong MC the next meeting.
Did Kyan or Derek want to contribute to recap for yesterday?
Hi, this is Kyan. I'll add just a little bit. I had the honor and privilege to work with Olaya and Richard, as well as Steve and Catherine, since June in putting this event together, and it was so much fun. And I also got to moderate a panel yesterday and speak with many amazing leaders in VR and mentoring, including Steve, as well as Ms. Young and two of her mentees, and Brianna and, oh my goodness, Steve, help me out.
Horace.
Horace Brown,
Yeah.
thank you. Sorry, Horace, if you're out there. But it was so amazing listening and learning about all four of their programs and hearing about how they've impacted so many young people transitioning into adulthood and how many of them have become mentors themselves. So thank you again for this opportunity, and thank you to everyone who's here today. If you weren't here yesterday, I highly encourage you to go listen to the recording because we heard from so many amazing people.
Thank you, Cayenne. And is Derek with us? Did he make it up?
I don't see it. I'll
Or he
send
on
you a note if
vacation
I see him
already?
pop on.
I'm sorry, Steve. What did you say?
I said, I'll let you know if he pops on. We're going to have to
Okay.
dock his pay today.
Right. Yeah, folks, these are the experts when it comes to mentoring, peer mentoring policy and initiatives. And yesterday's event was just chock full of really profound things, lots of resources in those documents that are up on that document page that Olaya shared, mentioned earlier. You can find a lot of really good information. We will be in the APH ConnectCenter in Career Connect space. We'll be doing a lot of mentoring. We have blogs that we have in the queue. Daniel Martinez, who's one of our panelists next hour, has a blog. If you go to aphcareerconnect.org or aphconnectcenter.org and look for Career Connect, you will look under the blog tags and mentoring multiplies. Daniel had a really good conversation with one of our content writers. I believe it was Amy, and a lot of good information was shared there. And we do, from spanning back over 20 years, Career Connect has a lot of things on mentoring resources, and we'll be doing more in that space in the coming year, especially as I onboard. If you folks in the audience and folks who are watching this later on have any thoughts or ideas, please email me, please contact us. We really want to have mentoring as part of our toolkit in terms of what we can do to address students and job seekers and folks who are older in mentoring. In fact, this Friday, Olaya and I will be talking to Visibilities, program run by Terry Pacheco, a good friend who works for the FCC. She's doing that with the ACB Media. I believe you, Kenneth Simeon, you will be on that as well. Friday at 7 o'clock Eastern on ACB Media, and we'll be recapping what we heard this week and talking about mentoring initiatives going forward. So very, very excited there. Two other things I want to say, Olaya, before we cue up the video. I mentioned this yesterday. One of the other really cool initiatives that Career Connect is doing is our Transition Hub, and we'll be addressing that Friday during the actual annual meeting. What the Transition Hub is, it's a searchable database where you could find over 40 at the currently 40 programs coast to coast that serve youth who are blind, teenagers and young adults, youth who are looking for their first work experience, first ever experience getting out of the house to be independent, whether these are seasonal, summer, year-round, programs that focus on pre-employment transition services, WIOA, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, programming sponsored largely by vocational rehabilitation programs in the United States. Thanks to the Give Me Family Foundation, Perkins, AER, and VisionServe, we were able to launch this site in early August after doing months of research and contacting many of you out there. So if you want to learn more about the Transition Hub, I would say go to aphconnectcenter.org and look for it. It's also tagged on all of our other pages. Am I missing anything, Olaya?
No, I
Okay.
think you're good. We're just trying to get a hold of Anne to get her over as a panelist. We're, for whatever reason, it's not letting us just make her a panelist. So we're emailing her. I'm trying to get a number to text her and let her know to check her email because we're sending her some
Okay, and we'll do is on top of the at the break, we can also address that too. We will, for those who are checking on the time, we will take a break at 45 after and come back and do our final presentation of this topic on mentoring with those who are panelists, who are mentors and mentees from various organizations. I'm excited to hear the group. The other thing I will say, Olaya, is I believe, and this is something we had addressed, and some of you in the audience are asking about it because we had teased you with it. We are planning a summit on mentoring towards employment. We don't have a date for that yet, but we are polling folks about that. Originally, that was going to be kind of a continuation of today, but because of the annual meeting logistics, we had to cut today's program in half. So that's why we're ending at, what is it, 12:30 Eastern, because our keynote and annual meeting begins at 45 after, I believe.
Yes.
And if you folks are registered for the annual meeting, which is on a different system through Crowd Compass, join us at APH. We call it Big APH. They've got some really exciting things going on. Olaya, did you want to say something?
No, I mean that, yes,
Yeah.
if you can join us for the opening session, you'll, Craig Metter will be running that session, our president, and you get to learn about some of the other exciting things that are happening beyond ConnectCenter. But in my opinion, we're the most exciting, but you know, I'm a little biased. But yes, we'll be, hopefully we're looking at possibly the 20th or 27th of this month for our summit, to the continuation of this two-day event that Richard and company organized. And so stay tuned for the email to go out about it, and stay tuned to our APH ConnectCenter website as well for any announcements or blogs or anything that go along with that. So yeah, thank you, Richard, for mentioning that.
Thank you, Olaya. Two last things I will say, and then we'll show you a really cool video, and I'll walk that out in just a second. For those of you who are interested in having a presentation on the ConnectCenter or Career Connect, and you want us to come to you, whether it's on Zoom or whenever we can travel, let us know. We'd love to present. We're presenting at a lot of the consumer conferences this fall, ACB and NFB, all over the country, from the comfort of home. And so let us know, email us. We'd love to present and do curated talks to you, your students, and your staff. We've talked to a lot of vocational rehabilitation programs. Likewise, if there are other partnerships and considerations, let us know. One of the other things Paul and I and Olaya talked about yesterday is we want to have a series of open houses, if you will, where you come to us, and if you want to help us shape the future of the ConnectCenter and Career Connect, we're all ears. And so we'll be setting those up soon. And thank you guys for participating today. We've got an exciting program this morning. Joe Strecce, who some of you may know from years ago when he worked with AFB and Career Connect and in Pennsylvania and elsewhere, has moved on. He's a movie team. What is his actual title? He consults for
he's an executive producer.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's his official title, but beyond that, like with the consulting. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you. I chopped that up. He is an executive producer. Most recently, he's working with Apple TV, doing the program consulting for the show C. He's also consulted on the past with Daredevil and a whole list of other programs. And so I think right now he's up in Canada doing some great things. He had a lot to share on mentoring, and we would love to have had him this morning. In lieu of his actual presence, he put together a short 10-minute video, 10 minutes and 14 seconds video. I do apologize. It might be a little echoey, but I think we did spruce it up yesterday, and it's pretty clear. We'll end this session with that. We'll wrap for a minute after his video, and then we'll come back at the top of the hour. But Joe's got a lot to say on the subject of mentoring, how it's impacted him, and how he's contributed likewise. So I think we'll go ahead and show the video now.
Yep, and just an extra little note about Joe. If you are familiar with Apple Plus TV and the show C, Joe's, you can as you're watching the show, which has Jason Momoa in it, and then this season, season 2 has David Bautista in it as well. And so his work is prominently displayed there by showing how blind individuals should be represented and act in you know, on the big screen, whether it's Apple TV Plus or in a movie theater. So we're really proud of what Joe is doing. And so if you have a chance, binge watch, see season 1, and I've saved up enough episodes to kind of start binge watching season 2. So I hate just watching one at a time. So anyway, so that's just another plug for Joe, but I'll play his video so you can hear directly from him about mentoring.
Oh, and the captioning, Olaya, that will be captioned, the video link for later.
Oh, yes. Yes, we will get the actual video captioned so that we can post it. But for now, we do have our closed captioner, so hopefully we'll be able to get that out to individuals who are watching live right now. Okay, so here we go.
Hello, I'm Joe Strecce. I'm a producer, blindness consultant, and I really value mentorship. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I love mentorship. I know most of you. Send my regards to the whole American Printing House family and the blindness community. I'm sorry I can't be there in person to speak with you. I know you guys are doing the national transition conversation, which my heart is there with you. I love that event, and I love what it does and what it brings to the country and allows the community to share what's going on around. And this mixes everything together because mentorship has made a big impact in my life. First of all, I'm a person who's blind. I'm a person with long hair. My hair, I think, is still brown. We'll see how long that lasts. It's long. It goes down probably, I don't know, past my shoulders. And I have a beard. I identify as he, him, his, and I'm Caucasian. But I'm excited to speak to you a little bit about mentorship and what it means to me and the different types of mentorship and how you get there. So for me, what mentorship has made, it's made an impact, a difference, and it's came in different forms. So there's traditional mentorship for employment. There's mentorship for different areas of your life. There's peer mentorship. There's also role models, and I like to put role models out there as well. But mentorship is a defined relationship between a mentor and a mentee. And why I say defined is because it's an agreement, basically, that both parties are going to invest time, and the mentor is going to provide guidance. The mentee is going to do work to facilitate and to move forward in their career, life, whatever it is, to work on aspects that are brought up by that mentor. That mentor is going to offer wisdom and ideas and possibly even activities and things to challenge that mentee. And I can tell you personally that my mentors in my life have made an impact. And as a person who is blind and lost my vision, mentors meant more than just employment. They meant daily life as a confident and competent person who's blind or low vision early on. So I can tell you that when I was leaving grad school or while I was in grad school, I had mentors. I had peer mentors, people who were blind or low vision that I looked up to and I learned from about technology, about bus travel and other things about the local community that I didn't learn from professionals. I learned the ins and outs from the people that were using those skills every day, that were traveling that community every day, tips and advice that you just don't get from a typical professional. And nothing wrong with professionals. I've learned so much from professionals, but also learned so much from those people living it every day. So peer mentors, whether it was around daily life, technology, a guy named Darren Burton has definitely been a peer mentor around technology. And I can tell you, Michael Elliott started off as a mentor around like sports and getting involved in goalball and a Paralympic sport. But he also was a mentor around employment. You know, he was a successfully employed person who's blind, and we kept in touch. And he worked in blindness vocational rehabilitation. And I moved on. I was in New Jersey, and a job opportunity opened up, and we kept in touch. And around the subject of transition, something I was really passionate about, and I was working on, and I had put in other work with other mentors around transition. But he gave me an opportunity, and luckily enough, I landed that opportunity and I was able to move into it. But even prior to that, I had a mentor, Dr. Karen Wolf, who's not a person with a disability, not a person who's blind, but she was a mentor around transition and employment, and challenged me and gave me things to work on and ideas of how I should push in my career to help towards the path where I wanted to go. So I kept in touch with her and sent her things I was working on, whether they were presentations or pieces I was writing, to keep in contact and show her that the work I was doing, but also to see if there was work I could do for her. So moving from Michael Elliott and Dr. Karen Wolf, and then Dr. Karen Wolf created an opportunity for me with the American Foundation for the Blind and Career Connect. And Career Connect was like the perfect home. Career Connect is a web program that provides information and content around navigating the employment process. And as a person who's faced that hurdle, and as a person who's blind, or even when I was low vision and losing vision, and how to interact with employers, Career Connect provided that information to me. And then I also had the opportunity to add to it. And then mentorship, mentorship, we champion mentorship within Career Connect, but mentorship is much bigger than that. Mentorship is something I learned from some of my mentors to surround myself with successful people who are blind or visually impaired, but also people without disabilities. So I always look towards where I want to go, and then I find people doing that work, and then I surround myself with those people so that I can get input, get inspiration, but also find out how they traveled that path. And I define those relationships. When I was at the American Foundation for the Blind, Carl Augusto was one of those people. Brian Bashan with the San Francisco Lighthouse, Kirk Adams at that time was with the Seattle Lighthouse. These successful people who are blind or low vision that were in all kinds of roles, and other people in state agencies and who were directors giving me advice for the future, so I could figure out where I want to go and how I was going to do it. So eventually I moved on to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and was mentored by David D. Notaris there, and provided opportunities and to learn and try to prove myself and my skills, and bring my ideas that I've been developing to an organization, and manage a lot of staff as well. But it doesn't stop there. I work now in the entertainment world. I'm a producer. I'm a co-executive producer for Apple TV Plus's C, but I'm also a producer on other projects. And I currently surround myself with people who are executive producers, who are people making products and entertainment and films and shows, and directors who are doing the work that I believe in and I want to do. And they're showing me the way, and they're giving me advice and input as I move through that world. And I think that's so important. I give back to other people. But the thing about mentorship, it can't be one way. It can't be someone asking questions all the time. I think it has to be a two-way street. People sharing information, both sides, but also when I go into mentoring mentees, or working with young people or adults who are blind or low vision or other disabilities as well, I want to make sure that they're invested. As a mentor, I invest a lot of time. I want to make sure that mentee is investing time. I assign work for my mentees. They have things they have to accomplish, and if they don't accomplish, I'm realizing that I'm wasting my time. My time is valuable, and every minute I give to that individual means something. I'm going to connect them with people, but I'm also going to ask them to do things. I want them to prove themselves. I want it's not busy work. It's steps towards the future. I believe in career planning. I believe in networking, all of those things. And as a mentor, I have a responsibility to help that person move in that direction. I've mentored a lot of young people who are now adults and professionals out there in many different fields. And the people I still stay in touch with are the people who really invested the time and work and showed me that they value the information and time I was giving to them. And as a mentee, I've been a mentee and I'm still a mentee. I make sure that I invest that time. I'm putting in the effort. I'm helping them. I'm offering some service to them in some way. And I think that's when things are successful. And I think you often see mentors and mentees become friends over time. But I think it's more than that. And if you can help yourself find that path towards success in employment and life, I've had it around sports, independent living skills and technology as well. And I think it's just so important. And I want to say thank you to the American Printing House for the Blind for taking on Career Connect, but also for hosting this national transition conversation, but also for even more so championing mentorship. I've been involved in a lot of mentorship programs over the years, whether with Disability In over the last decade or more, and with Career Connect and other programs with AAPD and such. But mentorship means a lot. So if you're a mentor, thank you for what you do. If you're a mentee, make sure you keep putting in the work. And thank you. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. And I look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Joe, for that wonderful video and mentorship. I mean, he's a really good example of how mentorship can get you, places where he may not have been able to go before. So really excited to hear from him and thankful that he was able to join us virtually. Well, we're all virtual, but virtually, right? So, okay. Oh, all right, Richard, what's next?
What is next? So in just a minute, we're gonna segue to a break. We're gonna bring our last panel on to talk about experiences and shared experiences of mentors and mentees from a variety of folks. And Wei Kwong is going to join us, and I'll introduce her properly at the top of the hour. So come back and join us. I just want to throw it out there one more time. Visit us often. Put us as your homepage on Google Chrome. I'm doing shameless plugs here, folks. Visit the ConnectCenter, visit Career Connect, even Family Connect. We're doing things with that. Parent Connect, that's tonight. Tell us about that, Olaya. There are some families out there might be interested in that.
Oh, yes. We, in a partnership with the Chicago Lighthouse, are hosting once a month, the first Wednesday of every month, a parent support group. We, connect families from all over the country and even from all over the world, because it's open to anyone who wants to register and be a part of that. And so it is a very family-focused, family-centered group where families can talk about issues that are of concern to them. They want help. Because we're such a low incidence disability area, it's hard for some parents to find other families or other individuals who are in their same situation to be able to, problem solve and talk about their kids and issues on how to handle certain things. And so this is a really wonderful group to join. If you know of any families who are looking to connect with other families, this is a really good opportunity to do that. Because we also have a clinical psychologist who joins us every meeting, and that's I think a really important aspect of the Family Connect support groups, because sometimes every parent, every family's in a different they're in a different area of their journey. And sometimes there's topics may come up that hit an emotional chord, and the clinical psychologist can then meet with that person or that family member or families, sometimes it's multiple members of the family on the Zoom call, and address some of their needs, which we're not trained to address those types of emotional needs. So it's nice to have that aspect of the parent support group. We're trying to grow it, so please spread the word. I'll put in information about how to register for it. I'll put that in the link if anybody's interested, but you can also check on our APH ConnectCenter website and get to Family Connect and get more information about the support group. So yes, thank you, Richard, for bringing that up. Appreciate it.
And that's tonight too, if you want to join us. If you're not zoomed out by
right.
7:30 Eastern.
7:30 Eastern, yeah.
Join it. I've joined the last 2 months and it's fun. We've had families from Rhode Island to San Diego join us, and it's outstanding. In our other spaces, Vision Aware, the ConnectCenter, and Career Connect, we just have all kinds of really cool and exciting things on the horizon, and we want to hear from you. So stay in touch, folks, and let's continue the conversation. Thank you all for being here this morning. We'll segue into a break. The feed will be open, so you'll hear us in the background getting our panelists ready, but go refresh your coffee or tea and join us in about another 15 minutes.
Yes, thank you all. We'll see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm getting this sent to Anne right now. Thank you, Steve, for giving me her email.
Absolutely. I forwarded her the link that you gave me this morning to the panelists to her as well.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead and do it again,
okay,
just to make sure. And then I assume everybody that's in her panel should also be.
Oh yeah, they can use that link. They can all use the link that I'm sending.
Cindy, Kevin, Daniel, Amy.
Okay,
unless they're up already.
Melissa, yeah.
Melissa, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Okay, Cindy, what's the email for her? Is it
CindyFastler.com.
Oh, there you are. You're there. She's here.
You're
Cindy's
there.
here. Yeah, we've got
Okay,
Cindy.
sorry. So who else is missing?
Melissa
Melissa
Lomax.
Melissa Lomax. Okay, who else?
And then Daniel Martinez, right?
Daniel
Help me out, Richard.
Martinez. Hold on, I'm looking for his email. D Martinez NFB.
Yes, that's him.
Okay. And who else?
Amy, did Amy get on? Amy Jine?
No,
Jen?
I don't see her.
Hang on. Let's see. AJINE.
AJ. Okay, at Vista Center.
Yep.
Okay.
Did we get Melissa?
Melissa Lomax, D Martinez, Amy Jen,
Kevin Andrews.
Kevin Andrews 94 at Gmail.
Yep, that's him.
Okay.
Yep.
And who else?
Let me see. I had the list. Hang on 1 second. Let's see. Oh, Neva. I think Neva. You're here. Okay.
There.
Okay.
I see Neva. You look really pretty, Neva.
Well, thank you, Olaya. You do too.
I like that.
She didn't say that. She didn't say that about
color
me
on
this
you is
morning.
nice.
That's everybody. Okay. That's everybody.
Is that everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna use this link.
Steve, how's my camera position?
It's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right in the center. It's very good.
Thanks.
Okay, I just sent out the email to all of them. Okay, there was a question in here about, is there Spanish or other translation for parent support? Yes, because I'm it. That's me. I whenever I'm needed to translate, I'm there. Eventually we'll hopefully have like a full-time translator person for us, because God knows we need it. But
hey, Richard and Olaya. Richard and Olaya, this is Tony.
Yes, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
there were that one person that wrote, there are 8 people that have been denied to get in, and I don't know why, but she was one of them. So I approved all these. There were 8 people, so I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Whenever I looked at that one, the one person that you guys emailed me about. So she should be getting another email. So just letting you know.
Thank you,
Okay.
Tony. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
thanks. But that
I'll be
that's
around.
a
I'm
problem
listening.
in general with Zoom. I'm hoping they fix that pretty soon.
If anyone who's listening had trouble logging in, send us a chat, let us know. And if you were able to fix it, we're just monitoring that.
I seriously, I don't know what it is. And I wouldn't have known about it unless she gave me her name. And when I typed her name,
Yeah.
I entered
That's me
using the link,
too.
but still not a panelist.
I used the panelist link, but I didn't enter as a panelist. And before I rebooted my computer, I couldn't log in at all. I could get in on my phone, but I couldn't get in on the computer.
That is so.
Okay, you'll probably need to log out. You shouldn't be a panelist and did you register for this by chance?
I did, but I used my
Because
panelist.
I know what just happened to me today is that I registered this so I'd have the Zoom link so I could experience what it was like. And whenever I went through as the registration person, I was no longer a host or a panelist. So I had to sign out and sign.
Yep, there we go. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to the National Transition Conversation. I'm Richard Rueda, Digital Content Manager with ConnectConnect. Mentoring is an important topic we have been covering this week on the National Transition Space here with the ConnectCenter. Our next presentation today is all about the mentor and mentee experiences from folks from all over the country. Ann Wei Kwong, Coordinator, Disability, Cultural Community at UC Berkeley, is also on our APH Career Connect Advisory Committee. I have known Ann for close to 10 years and have seen some amazing things with Ann and her with Berkeley at the Lighthouse and with Survivor Thrive. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our host this morning for the next panel, Ann Wai Kwong. Good morning, Ann, and welcome.
Hello, good morning, afternoon. I'm sure it's evening somewhere around the world to everyone. My name is Ann Wai Kwong, and as Richard briefly shared, I am the coordinator of our first established UC Berkeley Disability Cultural Community Center, which is really designed to be a space to center the experiences of folks with disabilities and looking at that as a positive and a strength building as opposed to primarily a negative thing. But I'm so glad to be able to be here and share the space with everybody, audience, panelists. We have a wonderful lineup of folks who I think are going to be sharing a lot of their experiences, story, and wisdom with everybody. I want to extend, first of all, gratitude to Richard and Olaya and Catherine and all of the folks who were working on this mentoring project together from the advisory committee on really putting this together and giving mentorship and that rapport building and connection the attention it really needs. Thanks Derek, Steve, and all of the folks from yesterday's call for setting the foundational stage, giving us all of the breakdown of the policy and the nitty gritty. But today we're really going to shift gears a little bit and connect all of that to experiences, to people, and humanize why mentorship is so important and why connection, especially throughout the past years, we've noticed is especially important. So without further ado, I want to briefly give an opportunity for all of our panelists to share a little bit about themselves. And thanks, Richard, for reminding me that one of our panelists may need to depart a little early. So right after our brief introductions, we're going to launch right into mentor-mentee experiences. So one thing I do want to share and bring into the conversation before we dive right in is how mentorship, the idea of role modeling, is not only important for young folks and folks, you know, that we're talking about in the United States, but I want to bring in that cultural competency and cultural relevance piece. So I want to share that I am ethnically Chinese, and the word mentor in Cantonese is dou si. Now, what does that mean? That means a guide and a teacher. So mentorship, the concept in the Chinese culture, particularly in Cantonese, is really somebody who can serve as a guide on the side, as well as somebody who can share wisdom, teach. And I know yesterday, a lot of our folks talked a little bit about this and how mentorship can also go beyond. It's truly such an important concept that not maybe one word can really encapsulate. So with that keeping in mind, I want to challenge everybody in the audience to think, what does mentorship mean to you personally? Have you had a mentor? And if you also come from various cultures and parts of the globe, what does the word mentor mean in your culture? And with that, I want to share that I'm very honored to be moderating a panel with amazing panelists. We're going to go around, and if folks can give a 1-minute intro of themselves and their agency, and then we'll go on and dive right into the mentor experience. Let's start with Melissa. If you can give a brief intro of yourself and also which agency you're here to represent or program.
Absolutely. My name is Melissa Lomax, and I currently serve as the program manager for the Employment Direction, Guidance, and Experience program in New Jersey, also known as EDGE. It's our program for blind and low vision high school and college students who are desiring to get employment or to excel in academics, and also to strengthen their social skills and other work readiness skills as well. We have workshop components and we have mentoring components. And because of the pandemic, we are doing all this right now virtually, hoping to transition to hybrid in a few months. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Next, I want to, give me a second, sorry. Next, I would like to invite to give a brief intro, Daniel. What agency are you representing and what's your role?
Hello, my name is Daniel Martinez, and I'm a civic engagement fellow with Respectability. And I'm a mentor with different programs. I would like to mention the National Federation of the Blind of Texas and its career program. Career stands for Changing Attitudes Regarding Employment, Education, and Rehabilitation. And I'm also with METHAS. METHAS stands for Mentoring, Engaging, and Teaching All Students. I'm currently designing a mentoring program for METHAS. However, as the name suggests, we've been doing mentoring since the foundation of METHAS. I am an advisor with the Mentoring Disability Coalition. And it's a pleasure to be here. I value the opportunity to mentor and be mentored.
Thank you so much. And you seem to wear lots of hats like most people. Next, let's transition. If Amy, you can give a little brief intro about yourself, your role, and which agency or program you're here to represent.
Hi, I'm Amy Jin. I represent Vista Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired. We're located in San Jose. I am the transition program specialist. I run a transition program called Youth of Tomorrow and a sub-program for mentoring called When I Grow Up. And actually one of our panelists, Kevin Andrews, who's on here today, is a friend of mine, but he was kind of the inspiration for me to start it because he found a mentor kind of by accident. So I'm gonna have him share his story of how he came upon his mentor and what it means to have a mentor, and actually like seeing how successful he's become. I thought it was really great and kind of made me push to have a program in my program. So.
Thank you, Amy. And I know getting things started is
sorry.
Oh,
no.
Go ahead.
Oh, somebody asked what organization. It's Vista Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Fantastic. I know starting a program is always challenging and also maintaining and sustaining it. So thank you. And we look forward to you sharing how you did it. Next, Neva, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your role and also which organization or programs you'd like to share with us.
Thank you. I'm Neva Fairchild. I'm a 60-ish year old white woman with shoulder length white hair in a French twist today. I'm wearing a green shirt and I have on my amethyst necklace. I work for American Foundation for the Blind and have had the privilege of working with the Blind Leaders Development Program at AFB for a little over a year. It's a brand new program that was started in March of 2020. Not an auspicious time to start a new program. We quickly had to pivot to all virtual. The Centennial cohort, the second cohort of our Blind Leaders Development Program, is starting now, and we hope to have some face-to-face connections this year. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I think certainly throughout the past year and a half or so, there have been lots of challenges, but also lots of opportunities. So thank you for highlighting that. Next, if Kevin, as I know you have participated, and Amy shared this earlier, as a mentee. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about yourself as well as your experience participating in a mentor-mentee program.
Well, he's actually not part of my program. He found a mentee on his own. So, yeah.
Hi, so I'm, as Amy said, I'm Kevin Andrews. My role is a little different. I work for one of the universities in the Washington, D.C. region for, I basically manage their accessibility program for any electronic IT accessibility. And so my role is a little different than most folks on the call today, but I actually found a mentor sort of by accident. And I met him probably 13, 14 years ago. They are fairly well known in sort of the orientation and mobility space. And I met him for the first time when he came and spoke at a summer camp that I attended. And it was pretty impactful. He is also blind, has gone around the world teaching folks about navigation and things like that. Perceptual navigation specialist is what he's called. So we sort of, like, I was a teenager when we met, and I met him for the first time and he came and spoke, and I was like, gosh, this guy, who is this guy? You know, I didn't really have an idea. You know, I was still, you know, I was only a kid, more or less. And, you know, I then didn't see him again. It was pretty impactful though. Like, wow, this guy's going all over the place, you know, biking and doing things that I couldn't really conceive a blind person doing. And, you know, I then met him again, not for another about 10 years. And we met for the first time, we met up again in 2018, and it's been pretty powerful. Like, he's been, you know, it was sort of an informal relationship, mentor-mentee. We didn't like establish anything, but he's been not only a great mentor, but a great friend. You know, just kind of having these really complex conversations about, you know, cultures in other countries. I do quite a bit of traveling. And yeah, I don't want to take up the whole time here. So, but yeah, he's been really helpful for me. Been really, you know, he's pretty accessible, no pun intended, like I can reach him pretty easily. Good conversations. We have met up every year since 2018, even with the pandemic. We met up right before then, and then this year as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kevin. Yes, mentorship can be through organized programs or can be done organically. And, you know, sometimes a conversation can strike in work in mysterious ways, and you found a mentor. Personally, that was how I founded an organization about 8 years ago when I first met Richard, because I didn't, as a blind person growing up, have those mentors and role models. And that was how we worked with friends to create a grassroots organization to address mentoring and cultural relevance of mentorship. Thank you for sharing. And last but certainly not least, Cynthia, I know that you served as a mentor in your capacity. Can you please share a little bit about how that experience is for you and let us know a little bit about yourself?
Certainly, thank you. Well, I'm representing Vista. I had reached out to Amy. I was looking for a volunteer opportunity. I've been volunteering with some other organizations. Career-wise, I've been an executive recruiter and career coach for about 20 years. And in the pandemic, ended up closing my business and was feeling a void. Being visually impaired, a woman in my 60s, not having an opportunity to have a mentor when I was diagnosed with my eye disease. I just sort of floundered and, learned things on my own, and really felt that in this time in my life, I have a lot to offer, especially on the career coaching side. And Amy was kind enough to set me up with my mentee, who I absolutely love, this young gentleman. He's smart. He's sort of an old soul. It's a funny story because when he went to Amy, he had said, I would like a mentor, but I want a man and I want somebody tech savvy. Well, obviously I'm not a man, and tech savvy, I'm not that either. So long story short, we've been helping one another for the past 2 years and going strong. He's in his second year of college. He wanted to go to a sighted college and wanted, to have somebody to talk to about how he could assimilate. And so we've, my sort of mantra for everybody that I coach is to be big, brave, and bold. And so that's kind of how, we get started. It's like, what's your bravery thing today? What's your bold today? And we're now really starting to think about the careers that he wishes to go into. He's an excellent writer, so I'm kind of trying to help him navigate into communications or marketing for a position.
Thank you all for sharing, panelists. Well, lots of things to think about, how mentoring relationships forms, as well as we learned a little bit about the various programs that are offered for folks to connect. And I know that with budgets and from the agency side, confidentiality agreements, matching pairs, all of those, sometimes the connection of how those matches and those pairs turn out sometimes can get away from us. So while we're on the topic of really finding that meaningful connection, if I may ask both Kevin and Cynthia, when was that aha moment for you when you're speaking with this mentor, whether it be matched through a program or you just randomly came across this person? When was that aha moment for you when you were like, wow, this person and I, we hit it off, we connected, we're building rapport, and I can come to that person for support, or if you're the mentor, that person feels like they're being connected with me and we found common ground. So Kevin, would you mind sharing first? When was that aha moment for you?
Sure. You can hear me, right? I'm on my phone.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, for me, I don't know. I grew up in the Midwest, and my mentor lives out on the West Coast in Southern California. And we sort of I ended up moving out to California about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago now, for a job after school and things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy lives here and I'd love to be able to connect. So I reached out, I sent him an email, and he was really receptive and really kind, really nice. He travels a lot for his job, and I travel a lot just sort of for leisure and different things like that. So it took us about a year to sort of get schedules lined up, but we met up, and he invited me into his home, and we would always have just really cool conversations. He's, quite a bit older. I found it really beneficial, really powerful. Some of the things that he taught me over the years. I did, my last big trip, I guess you could call it, was the end of 2019. And I went by myself, part of Asia, not a huge part, but a small sliver of it. And, we would sort of debrief on some of the experiences I had afterwards. And he helped me sort of navigate some of those cultural differences. And there's a lot of that, especially as a blind person traveling in other countries, other continents. Even though I'm white, male from the US, there were definitely some different things to navigate, if you will, different, and it was still very it was very eye-opening, and he helped me sort of navigate some of those very difficult pieces. For example, people, I had a layover, I don't want to get too bogged down in it, but I had a layover somewhere in capital of Ethiopia, and they were trying to tie my shoes, and it was just very frustrating, and I didn't handle it super great. And he sort of, when I got home, you're jumping a bunch of time zones, you've been flying for 17, 18 hours or whatever, dealing with people trying to help you, well-intended folks, but different ideas about how that help should happen. And he helped talk me through it, just made me feel better about things. I was like, gosh, this guy's got it figured out. He had to learn a lot on his own, and it's kind of nice to learn from somebody who's got, I don't want to say it figured out, because I don't think we all have it figured out, but just somebody who has really been around the world, more or less, in probably 40, 50 countries at this point. So to answer your question, I think the aha moment for me was how, easily I could connect with them. Like, hey, my schedule is really busy, but I'll get back to you. And, he's been, I don't know if that answers your question.
Absolutely. Mentorship turning and evolving into a friendship, and also just not only emotionally able to support and share ideas, but a cultural guide, and probably exchange some literal orientation and mobility guide tips probably between the two of you as well. Thank you for sharing. What about you, Cynthia, from the mentor perspective? What was that aha moment of connecting with your mentee like?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, my mentee wanted a male and somebody tech savvy. So I made my initial phone call and said, obviously I'm a girl and I'm not tech savvy, but how about we have a trial period for 30 days? And we made an agreement to talk every Friday at 10 a.m. And if after 30 days you don't think I'm helping you, then, I'll move on, and hopefully you'll find, a mentor that you're comfortable with. Well, it was like the second week into our mentorship, he was like calling me right at 10 o'clock. It wasn't a minute late. And I thought, oh, I think he likes me. This is good, because I'd never mentored anybody at that level before. I've mentored, controllers and CFOs and accounting people, but I never really mentored a totally blind person, and a person that was in his first year of college as well. And so that aha moment was when he let me know that I'm cool and getting something out of us just talking for the past 2 weeks. And as I shared, it's been 2 years.
Fantastic. I'm kind of chuckling here on the side on mute here when you're sharing your story. And this really resonates with me because Joe Stretche in our video earlier shared they get to put in effort. So the fact that you are putting in your 100%, but your mentee is also doing the same. And that's probably what really connected you to him or to them. So Thank you for sharing. And I think that mentorship is so critical, not only to self-advocacy and peer mentoring and some of those pre-ETS requirements we talked about, but also employment readiness too, right? Because if you're meeting with your supervisor, we all know that you have to show up as well. And that's something I share with my students. Prior to working at Berkeley, I used to be the transition program manager at the Lighthouse for the Blind in San Francisco. And one thing I always tell my students during our summer program is early is on time is late, and late is fired. So I think putting in effort and showing that you are ready for whether it be work or just building authentic connections with others is so critical. I'm going to shift gears back a little bit here. Now that we've heard some of those personal experiences and the impact of mentoring, I want to turn back to, I know prior, some of our program folks shared a little bit about their program, a 1-minute brief intro, but let's dig a little deeper. Can you all share what is specifically unique about the mentoring program that you are offering or you have developed? Let's start with Melissa.
Okay, I was sitting here thinking when you asked the question, but I'll go with what came off the top of my head, like from my heart as well. With our program, I believe that we are unique for a couple of reasons. First, we are the only program of this caliber in New Jersey. And from my past experience being a youth services manager in Maryland, where I did some similar programs, it was different because there were several programs that say they would like to mentor blind youth and have workshops. And so it was kind of different because it was always this thing to make sure that you stood out. But in New Jersey, we are the only program. So it gives us the opportunity to not have to be concerned, is our content repetitive for students who are in more than one program? Also, we are year round. I know a lot of programs prefer to have programming only during the academic school year. And then as far as our mentors go, we are gradually working our way to peer mentoring. So for right now, our mentors have a huge range in age and ethnic backgrounds. And that's something I really love because the diversity amongst our mentors is something I hadn't seen in previous programs and also hadn't had the opportunity to experience as much. So when our students come in and they say that they want to work with someone who has their same background, whether it be like from their socioeconomic status growing up or from their race or ethnic identity, we're able to meet those needs, but we're also able to meet a variety of needs in career fields because our mentors range as well in that area.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Couldn't agree more that diversity and intersectionality of different backgrounds and experiences is so critical. And personally, that was what drove myself to create that grassroots mentoring program, because I was looking for folks who could not only talk to me about my transition as a blind youth at the time, but my family, because I was still living under my family's roof. So a lot of the decisions that I made really had to involve them. And culturally, we are a very tight-knit collectivistic culture. So thanks for bringing that point up. Very important. Next, Daniel, what about you and Metas and all of the various programs that you offer? What's so unique, or what's a unique point?
A unique point is that we're building mentors. I'm very happy that my first official protege in a mentoring program is now a mentor himself. He is working and he has a couple of mentees of his own. And that's just incredible because the way I began in this mentoring career is in 2007, I was approached and asked if I wanted to join a mentoring program. I said yes, and a few years later, I was encouraged to become a mentor of my own. Once I was in college, once I had my first job and was experienced enough to be able to help others. It's a lifetime commitment of mentoring and being mentored. And another valuable point would be that, especially with Metas, we're doing work internationally. In Mexico, for example, we conducted a summer program. It was a convention for professionals, parents, and blind individuals. And we were there and we provided mentoring experiences for them. When the pandemic began, we started doing webinars, monthly webinars in which we had the opportunity to mentor people. Honestly, we thought that we were going to have people from Mexico and Spanish speakers from Texas and some of the United States. However, it expanded and we received a lot of attendees from all of Latin America. And, you know, the videos are on YouTube. You can find them looking up Conchita Hernandez YouTube channel. And our programming is in Spanish. And it's connecting with our community.
Thank you so much. That's incredible. And the fact that, like you shared, mentoring does multiply and does create that legacy and sustainability. You're growing other folks and bringing them with you on that journey, so that they can also influence and impact others. So thank you for sharing. Next, how about you, Neva? What's unique about the mentorship program that y'all have?
The AFB Blind Leaders Development Program is a national program, unlike I think most of the other programs that are local or state. And we also focus on early to mid-career people who are looking for blind or visually impaired mentors. And we find those in the mid to late career realm and match them through a process of learning about their needs and their desires for encounters. And we also formalize the mentor training through Derek Shields. And we have decided this year that even the fellows, we call our proteges or mentees fellows, mostly because the word mentee makes me think of mouthwash, and I don't like mouthwash, so we chose fellows. And we have decided to have the fellows do the mentor training at the same time for two reasons. We want them to know what to expect from and what not to expect from a mentor. And we hope that in the future, they will mentor others, either through a formal program or informally, as most of us find our mentors in this world. The program is about a year long, and we also use a structured curriculum, the Leadership Challenge by Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner. And that's a behavioral-based leadership training program. And so while we call our mentors and our fellows by those names, we're not really creating a mentoring program, we're creating a leadership training program. But we all need mentors in this world. And the goal of our program is so that leaders in their current jobs and in future jobs will pave the way for other people who are blind or visually impaired to come into the company, to find a smoother path than perhaps some of the people that go through the leadership training program experienced, and that they will have peer supports within their company of blind or visually impaired leaders within the company that can help them move up and advance their careers.
Thank you so much. Certainly lifelong learning, youth need mentors, early mid-level professionals also need mentors. So glad you're doing that to grow leaders and professionals in the field who can pave the way for others and create that ripple effect. Amy, how about Vista Center? What is unique and you feel like is very valuable about the mentoring program you all have?
So for my mentor program, I prefer that the mentor or the mentee kind of structures for what they want. Like, even though my program is very job focused, like career readiness, like I do want a mentor to be able to offer job shadowing if they, so I try to focus on like local people for that reason. And it's also hybrid, so they can either meet online or over the phone. During COVID, obviously it was all either over the phone or through Zoom, but another strong element of my program is I originally wanted to do basically kind of like a school year, like 9 months, but then since I saw that it was really successful, I kind of let, again, the mentee decide, you know, if they want to continue or if they don't. It's a lot more informal and structured, so they can talk about, you know, what life, college, jobs, just basic, any sort of support that they need. Because my program, we only meet, because it's a day program, so the mentor kind of takes the role of that extra support that a student would need. So whether it's navigating school stuff or they want somebody who has a similar visual impairment as them, they can talk through it. I do have a couple of, I do have one example of like a teacher and a student. He's like, I think he's about 12. Because I originally wanted to do just the age group that I had, 14 to 24, but then some students are like, oh, well, my student is in middle school and they didn't have, there aren't a lot of programs for that age group. They're kind of sort of in that middle. So I had a few students who were a little bit younger that have that extra support too. So it's been pretty beneficial. I love hearing the stories from the mentors. I check in just on occasion and say like, hey, how's it going? If you need anything, but the mentor and the mentee kind of run their own thing. And I kind of just check in every now and then just to see how they're doing. So yeah, I have about 4 or 5 that are still going. It started out with about 8, but then when the pandemic hit, a lot of students were like, we don't have time for this. But yeah, it's been a really great program and one of the stronger attractions for tomorrow. So
Absolutely. I think hearing from everybody and what you all shared, that mentorship is all encompassing in terms of it goes beyond just that structured connection. There's holistic support of the families, of finding intersectional backgrounds, of supporting, of course, academic, school, and work, but also life beyond that. So thank you, everybody, for sharing how mentorship can impact folks in so many ways. One of the things that I wanted to return to that Cynthia shared that really resonated with me personally is when you shared your mantra, because I think it really speaks to mentorship as something that continues to grow and evolve and allows folks to go beyond that connection. If I may, my own personal mantra over the years that I've used when working with students, families, mentees, and also colleagues is learn, laugh, legacy, and love. I dub the L's of life, because you all have demonstrated that through mentorship, it's a learning process for both parties, for the mentor and the mentee, student, fellow, whatever the technical term is. There's laughter, that aha moment of connection, all of those other conversations we have to find out and learn more about each other. That brings laughter and happiness and enrichment to the lives of folks. There's that legacy piece. Both Daniel and Neva shared that we're growing folks so they can contribute to their own communities and to give back. So that when that initial structured conversation or that first symposium concludes, there's still conversations, discussions, and excitement and activity after that legacy. And finally, the love for that genuine connection, the love for the community, and the love to give back, and of course, self-love, recognizing one's own individual process and capacity. So thank you all for sharing. My next question is, and I think everybody's kind of touched upon this a little bit, but I want to go a little deeper. From the programmatic and mentor side, if you could all share, how have you noticed mentorship impact the lives of those you serve, whether it be students, families, or clients that you interact with? And if I may, let's start with Amy.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, sorry about that.
I think one of the things that is seeing kind of the growth, because I know Cindy shares a lot of her mentee experience with me about her students writing or just kind of how the relationship is going. I think she had mentioned that she goes sailing and he had never been, so I don't know if they actually met in person yet. We haven't really connected recently just because things have been pretty busy. But I know that they were going to share an activity together. And so at first he's like, oh, I don't know. I haven't ridden on BART. And I think she said, like, you know, I'll make a deal. If you get here, then we can, you know, go sailing. And he's like, okay, yeah, why not? Let's do it. But I don't know if they actually did. But it's interesting kind of just seeing how students are willing to go out of their comfort zone. I also had a student, he has autism and a visual impairment, and he really connected with his mentor over Star Wars. And I know his mom had emailed me and said it's great, you know, seeing him smile about just some of the little things that they do connect on, even though sometimes it was a little difficult for him for the open-ended questions, but it really even made a small impact on him because he wanted somebody who had a similar visual impairment as him, because he was in the previous mentor program that had started before I was there. And I know that was one thing that his mom had mentioned. So I made sure to pair them based on kind of like what either the parent or the student wanted to get out of the relationship. He had stopped just because of the pandemic, and I think there was a lot more activities, but even like just the small interactions were really fun to hear. So it's always fun hearing back from the mentor and some of the other stories that they have. Because I think both the mentors and the mentees, they learn from each other, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's a relationship that goes both ways. Thank you, Amy. What about you, Cynthia? How have you seen your mentor-mentee relationship impact the life of your mentee?
I think his confidence level has risen tremendously. Amy kind of reminded me of a BART story. My mentee only had taken BART with his mother or father. And though we both live on the same side of the bay, I live in Walnut Creek and he lives in Livermore, I was going to take BART to him. And then he and I were going to take BART together and go to the Lighthouse. And he'd never been to the Lighthouse programs before. We were going to sign up for a program, and then we were going to go to lunch, and then I was going to take him back home on BART, and then I was going to go home on BART. And unfortunately, the pandemic happened. So therefore, we have not been able to achieve that. But now that things are opening up, I'm going to bring that up to him this Friday to see if there's a time that he would like to revisit that. And that for all intents and purposes, I think the comfort zone of my mentee talking to me about his school challenges, building relationships with sighted individuals in his college. One day someone asked him about his Braille monitor, and I said, instead of being, embarrassed about it, I said, bring it over to that person's desk. This is when they were still having class, live class, and show him how you do your homework. Show him how you receive the information from the teacher. And I bet that would be a real eye opener. And now they're friends. They, you know, go for walks together, and it just gave him the freedom to say, hey, let me show you how I function. And that's very empowering. And it was empowering for me too, that he took my advice, and you know, he wasn't embarrassed to go that extra step.
Thank you. Certainly confidence and some of those social skills is so important and transferable to other settings. Once you get a taste of confidence, and from my observation too, students get a taste of traveling on the public transportation system, they're so excited. I remember a story when during one of my summer programs, our students were taught and expected to take public transportation independently to a 2-week-long summer internship placement. And once the student came back and said to me, you know, and I quote this, "Oh my goodness, I came back on BART and I went to Starbucks. I bought a coffee like, quote, a normal person coming home from work." And you can hear the excitement come from that person's, voice, and their whole demeanor just changes. So thank you for sharing. How about you, Neva? How has the leadership program, how have you seen it impact the lives of the participants?
We had 15 fellows and 15 mentors in our first cohort. And to a person, I saw confidence increase in the fellows and competence. They were expected to do things differently than they may have done before. They, because it was early in the pandemic, we increased skill levels for these people to use Zoom and other platforms. We actually tried another one first. Didn't work as well as Zoom, so we pivoted again. And at the end of the year and a few months, they were all confident with Zoom and Google Drive, shared folders, and lots of technology that some of them were not comfortable with at the beginning. And some because they just weren't good with technology, and some because they had experienced changes in their vision recently enough that they hadn't really adapted to them fully. And the mentors, helped and walked the fellows through those adaptations and doing what was needed to get the services they needed or the help they needed, either informally through their mentor or formally through their employer or through the state vocational rehabilitation system. Mostly because the technology skills that we all bring to the workplace really dictate where we can go. And all of us, no matter what our age, technology is changing so fast that we have to keep up. To stay stagnant is to languish. And we have to find ways of learning these new skills we need. And usually that's through an informal relationship with someone who knows more than you know. In this case, it was a more formal relationship, but all 15 pairs grew in their confidence and their competence. And it was a really neat comment from one of our fellows said that the Blind Leaders program showed him that he could finally take a big, deep breath when he didn't even know he had been holding his breath. And I really thought that was illustrative of how a lot of times we just kind of push through and we don't really realize how hard we're working to be successful and to grow until we find out what else we can do, and we get there and it's like, okay. So I think that was one of the things that really struck me from our first cohort.
Wow, definitely very profound, and really understanding the process and realizing you had to struggle sometimes through that process to get there, to then release your breath and now know, oh, I could breathe. That's very profound. Thank you for sharing. How about you, Daniel? How have you noticed your impact on your folks that you interact with, whether it be the mentors and mentees and families?
Excellent. I'll share a couple of stories really quick. The first time I traveled with my mentee, I took them up in Greyhound and we traveled to a state convention and we were sharing a room. At this point, we got the keys and went upstairs in the elevator and discovered that the keys were not working. And this was his first time traveling independently. So I told my mentee, I've been here and this has happened before. So I'll wait here with the luggage and you go get a new key. And he was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, we just came from there. You know the route. You can't get lost. And if you do, just ask for directions. And he was surprised at that challenge. He wasn't expecting me to do that. But I had informed him already that, I've been here already. I know what I'm doing. I need you to learn what you're doing. So he managed to go downstairs the same route and the same route back and with a key. And that was his first success. The second one, later on, we were talking about his career choices. And he told me that he wanted to be a lawyer. This was back when he was 15 years old. A couple of years passed, and we had the opportunity to go to a convention where we sat at a division of blind lawyers. And he had the opportunity to ask questions and then to do an informational interview where he had the opportunity to interview and lawyer. And in our conversation afterwards, he said, perhaps lawyer is not a career choice for me because I don't like to read. That's something that he realizes. And with time, right now he's a coach in boys and girls clubs, coaching football and all kinds of sports. And he's at UT Austin studying for kinesiology. And his career goal is being a coach. And it's something that he's doing already successfully, and a goal that he's gonna reach sometime in the future.
Fantastic. Sometimes all of us just need that little nudge and that encouragement. You could do it. You could go back and get the key. And also some folks will tell us the truth. Maybe you should think about if reading is a part of the career path, right? Sometimes we just need those honest folks. Thank you for sharing. What about for you, Melissa? How have you observed and noticed the impact of your program on the folks you work with and how it has touched their lives?
So a couple of things come to my mind. First off, I believe that the benefit of having a mentor, as opposed to in our program right now, we have coordinators for our high school students who do like employment plans, who run the workshops and do all that stuff, making sure the students are up to date on their paperwork, making sure their goals are met, getting them jobs and stuff. And then we also have career advisors for the college program who do the same things except more. But we have mentors who are separate from them because we realize that when you allow someone, when you allow pairs of people to like do life together in many ways, that a lot of that growth takes place that we're looking for employment and for academics. And it all comes into self-confidence. It can all trace back to self-advocacy, it can all trace back to strong social skills, like with understanding of oneself and their condition. And I believe that the mentors are able to do that for the students in ways that transform their lives tremendously, that give them drive. The mentors can go a little bit deeper than the coordinators and the career advisors can. And I think that that's why we've seen so much success within our student group. And when they graduate, to see them dive into different goals and ambitions, because they had that guidance from two different pillars. It was the one person saying, hey, let's get your goals together. Let's make sure you're meeting them. Then the mentor saying, well, how do you feel today? You know, how's your social life going? And all those things. So it's a double winner. I also saw in the chat, people were asking about pay. I guess that's another thing that sets our program apart. We do pay our mentors $30 an hour, and they can get up to 15 hours a month. And it's just a way to say we appreciate you. And they look forward to that like token as well, but it's not, of course, a motivator for them to do what they're doing. But we do get that opportunity to pay them through our contract with our state agency. And the last thing I'll say is that I feel like with the mentors, I've seen a lot of transformation come because of the customization. I know I go back to this, but I so strongly believe in it. We as blind professionals believe strongly in making sure that blind and visually impaired students have the skills that they need and the confidence that they need, and that's great. But we all have different levels of training. We all have different types of vision and even eye conditions. And sometimes it's beneficial for a student to hear from a mentor who has something very similar to them, because a totally blind person may be able to encourage someone who has a whole bunch of vision, but if they're not yet in that journey of accepting where they are, sometimes it's great to be able to customize that for the students. And once again, because we have a variety of mentors, we're able to do that if that's what the student needs. We don't just say, hey, you know, Johnny has a whole bunch of vision, let's pair him with a mentor who does. It's all about making sure that that's what the student actually wants to have, what the student actually wants to experience and benefit from. Because sometimes it's hearing from a mentor who says, hey, you know, I can see to read, but I choose to use assistive technology like screen readers because it makes my life easier. It's different hearing it from someone who a student can relate with. So I also feel like that has been an impact for students as well, to get that relatability and that customization.
Thank you. Absolutely. Meeting folks where they're at and making sure that what we are asking of them aligns with their personal goals, values, and aspirations, because folks are all individuals and comes in all, you know, levels of trainings, backgrounds, etc. So thank you so much for sharing. And I think, Melissa, you're leading into the next question that I have for everybody. All of us are like, oh, you know, mentorship is so wonderful and there's so much impact in this relationship. But where do I get started if I'm a student, a family, or a teacher looking for mentors for my student or for myself, right? Looking for other role models. Where do I go? And if I'm an agency thinking about starting a program, where do I go? What are the resources or funding streams? If y'all could share a little bit about where can folks get started if they would like to participate or create their own mentorship program? Let's start, if you would get us started, Melissa.
I was like, pick me. So there's a couple things I can say. First off, if you are looking to give a student an opportunity to work with a mentor and you're trying to find that good mentor, it's really, really helpful to expand your network tremendously. So make sure to connect with as many professionals as you can within the blindness field, and see who knows whom, because there is a person for your student. And a lot of the times these people do not even want money. I know we're talking about compensation, but oftentimes you can find a mentor who says, yes, I'd love to do this. I would love to pour into a student's life. It's not like you're saying, hey, mentor 10 students. So I definitely say start with one. And most importantly, even before that step, ask the student what they want, because some students want a mentor who's in their career path. Some students want a mentor who, went to college out of state and they think is more self-confident and strong in their skills and stuff like that. So make sure we know what the student wants, because sometimes like we pull from the same pool of professionals. We say like, hey, these 10 people are so well known, they're amazing. Have you guys met them? Let's see if they can talk to the students. And there's so many other people within this community who have a lot to offer students. So I'd say go there. As far as funding goes, I can say that I have started a program, the first pre-ETS program that was approved in the state of Maryland. And at the time, I added a mentoring component, but I couldn't get them to agree to pay the mentors. So that was a little bit tough for me to find, people who volunteer their time. I volunteered some of my time as well in that situation. It was a little bit tough only because it had to be like within that state and a couple other restrictions. But in New Jersey, it was something that was brought up at the beginning. Like when this program was created, before I started working here, they said a huge element is mentorship. We want to focus in on that. And because of that, going into the program on the onset and saying, this is what's important to us, can you fund it? That helped. In Maryland, it was kind of like, I want to do these workshops. And then it was established and it was a hit. And my students were like, can we talk tonight? I was like, I can't talk to 17, 20 students. So then we added a mentoring component to it. So if we just added it in from the beginning, I think that would have helped as well with the funding situation.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's so wonderful to have supportive VR and vocational rehabilitation folks from the state, as well as so wonderful for them to have you, Melissa, to bring in your networks of folks that you can call upon. So thank you. What about for you, Daniel? What suggestions would you have for students, families, teachers, or agencies who are like, oh, mentoring is so wonderful. How can I get started or get involved?
So with the two programs that directly involve the National Federation of the Blind of Texas and METAS, if you're in Texas or just a Spanish speaker that's looking for mentoring, you can definitely contact me and I'll point you in the right direction. My email is very simple, dmartinez@nfbtx.org. And usually we're talking about mentoring in the transition programs, 14 to 22 years of age. However, I'm of the belief that anyone can have a mentor at any age. And I'm often making connections with people that are looking for mentors, and hey, what are your interests? And my network is pretty expansive, so it's just a matter of sending an email. Hey, would you like to meet this youth? And they're interested in this. And, making the connection with a parent as well, and that's an easy connection to make. And in discussion, I've done that in recreational interest, education, and also in their professional interest, because recreation is very important as well. That's an aspect that sometimes it might fall through the cracks, right? But we need to add it with education and the professional development.
Thank you for sharing. Absolutely, considering all aspects of life, why having fun is a part of life. What about for you, Neva? If folks want to get involved in the leadership program or want to create one, what suggestions would you have for folks to get started?
I think the most important first step is for people to realize that a mentor or a role model can help them do things easier and faster than they would figure it all out on their own. I think given enough time, we would all get there eventually, but it doesn't happen as fast, especially when you're a young person. if you don't know that there's other people out there who have walked this road before you, who can reach back and grab your hand and tug you along the road. So you have to be aware that a mentor or a role model could be helpful. And then you have to find the right place to find one. And of course, I think that through the community rehabilitation programs and the state vocational rehabilitation agencies, transition age mentoring programs are pretty common, although I don't think there'll ever be enough of them. It's finding somebody that's like you. And even in the AFB Blind Leaders Development Program, these young professionals don't find mentors in their workplace. There aren't other blind or visually impaired people employed where they're employed usually. There aren't senior or even mid-management people that are above them in the hierarchy of the company that are blind or visually impaired, and they don't really know that it's possible to find those people. Of course, I think connecting with the two major consumer groups, the American Council of the Blind and the National Federation of the Blind, is a wise thing for people to do, to connect with other people who are blind or visually impaired, to grow informally and formally through involvement in those organizations. But for people to learn about the Blind Leaders Development Program, the easiest way is to go to afb.org/blindleaders. And there's basic information about what the program involves. And our next application period will be in the spring of 2022. The next cohort, the third cohort, which we haven't named yet, will start in July of 2022 and will run through July of 2023. And it's going to be an amazing opportunity for a new group of people to come in. We started with 15 pairs. This year in the Centennial cohort, we have 23 pairs. And who knows, we hope to grow the program in the future. Our eventual goal is 100 new leaders who are blind or visually impaired unleashed upon the world. Now, if that doesn't change the employment prospects for the positive, I can't understand why it won't. We believe that that's the right step for us to take in the United States to change the employment picture for people who are blind or visually impaired, to have people in positions of leadership saying, hey, that blind applicant is the right person for this job, and that blind employee is ready to move up. And we haven't had that. We haven't seen that, despite all of the legislation, the ADA, and how many years of the Rehabilitation Act, and really that employment needle hasn't moved in over half a century. And we have to do something to move that needle. And I believe mentoring and solid relationships with people who have walked the path ahead of us is the way to go.
Wow, snaps, claps, and woohoo to the 100 goal. We look forward to more updates when you all reach that. And I absolutely agree that we need to diversify all levels of employment, from entry level to the boardrooms to the C-suites. So thank you for raising that point. Next, how about for you, Amy? If a student, family, teacher, or agency wants to join in on the fun of mentoring and get started, how would you recommend they go about doing so?
I would say get involved in the community for sure, because that's how I found a lot of my mentors, was through joining like Facebook groups related to blindness, like NFB, ACB. Just get involved with your community. You can either find one, because a lot of people, they're willing to share their story, whether it's informal, like Kevin had found his, or like a guest speaker even. Yeah, just join all of the events like related to youth. we've got several in the Bay Area. I encourage my students to check out all the programs to see what they like, and just chat with people, because especially like if you want to ask them like about their jobs or how they do something, most people are willing to help, and you just never know what you're going to learn. So I think I really strongly encourage my students to try all the programs. If things are offered, do it, because they may find like a path that they didn't even know existed when they talk to other people. So that's kind of my advice.
Thank you. Being empowered and open to connections, getting yourself out there to meet folks, and also sharing and empowering information with folks so that they can make the best informed choice and select the right program or connect with the right folks that aligns with their interests. Thank you so much, Amy. What about for you, Cynthia, as a mentor? If someone wants to mentor other folks and up and coming professionals, how would you advise or recommend them get involved?
Oh, do we lose Cindy? Both of hers are muted, so I'm not sure.
Am I on now?
There you go.
There you are.
Thank you. Sorry about that. What was the question again? Because I couldn't hear.
No worries. You participating in a mentoring program in the capacity of a mentor. If someone wants to serve as a mentor for up and coming professionals or youth, how would you recommend they get started and involved?
Well, I think reaching out, like I had no idea about the VISTA program, but working with the Lighthouse for the Blind, and being a part of the San Francisco NFB monthly chapter meetings, I started hearing about other volunteer organizations. And so I can't remember if I reached out to Amy or Amy reached out to me, but somehow we got connected, and she interviewed me, and I think because of my career of being an executive recruiter and a career coach for over 20 years, and also employing blind and visually impaired employees and knowing what they needed in order to be successful in working for my companies, I think it just ended up just being a very marvelous match. But you have to reach out, you have to ask questions, and you have to be willing to make a commitment.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I noticed time flies when we're all having fun and gaining a lot of information as well as stories. So my last question is, if all the panelists could quickly share, we've covered a lot of ground today, from personal stories of building connections to how to get started for agencies and families. Panelists, if you were to share one final piece of advice, wisdom, or information from folks, their takeaway nugget, what would that be for all of this very important conversation? And Melissa, would you like to start us off with your nugget of wisdom?
Oh, she's muted as well.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
there.
yes.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I'm having Zoom issues. So sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Can you repeat the question? I heard about the wisdom, but before that, my Zoom was skipping.
Oh, no worries. I briefly shared that I think we covered a lot of ground in our conversation today, from listening to the personal impact of mentoring on the lives of folks to how do agencies and families and students and teachers get started. So because we covered so much information, what is your nugget of wisdom or takeaway point for folks in the audience today?
Oh man, okay. I would say that takeaway point is that mentoring programs or programs that have mentors as elements are really vital to students' growth and young adults' growth as well. And I think that the way to do it is to make sure that it is the best pair that it can be. And once again, that goes back to customization. I think that we need to continue to encourage the people in our programs to one day become mentors as well, so that we can continue to expand this pool. And if you are looking to create a program or to even like revamp your programs, I've been there. It is tough, but do not by any means give up. Look for find motivation in connecting with other professionals who do have programs, because a lot of us I've seen are very open to sharing how we do it. That's what I love about this field. It's not about one person being better because they have all this secret knowledge that they're keeping for themselves. So please reach out, do your own informational interviews, those things that we encourage all of our students to do, and just stay motivated, because the program that you're trying to create or revamp will actually change lives. And that's the exciting part about going forward.
Absolutely. That community. Thank you. What about for you, Daniel? Your nugget of wisdom, takeaway point for this very important mentoring conversation?
I'll give you two. Think about diversity. It's important to look at the population that you're serving. We're all here, we're mainly dealing with blindness and visual impairments. However, think beyond that, because people that you're serving might identify with different aspects of their life. So when you're selecting mentors, think about diversity, and also think about diversity when you're selecting proteges. Everyone deserves a chance to learn from one another. And the second one, it might be a shameless plug, but I'm looking for employment, so hit me up if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think sometimes that confidence, it shows you're very confident. If I had a job, I would hire you. But thank you so much, Daniel. And certainly could not agree more with the diversity piece. It's so critical that folks could feel comfortable bringing all facets and interwoven identities to different spaces, employment spaces, school spaces, and mentoring spaces. What about for you, Neva? What is your nugget of wisdom for us in the audience as we think about mentoring that you want to leave us with?
The nugget I'd like to leave everyone with is, no matter who we are, how old we are, what disabilities we do or do not have, none of us know what we don't know. We all have missing pieces to our fund of knowledge. And there are people in this world that can fill in those pieces of knowledge for us. And once you know that about yourself, you can seek those people either informally or formally and find out what you never expected to need to know. I think that's the most compelling reason to find mentors in your world. And it's not just one mentor at a time. I have had lots of mentors through my lifetime. Some of them have been blind or visually impaired, and some of them have not. And I've learned a lot from all of them. And I always am surprised when I learn something that I didn't expect to, because I didn't know what I didn't know. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you. Amy, what nugget of wisdom do you have for all of us as we continue to think about mentoring?
I would say whether you have a formal mentor or an informal mentor, I think mentors are everywhere and we can all learn from each other. So whether you have one that you meet with regularly, or if you find one, maybe they're a public figure that you really admire and you just want to follow their path. I think we can always find a mentor somewhere if we're really looking for it. And also, someone in the chat posted something, so I'll just go ahead and read that. It says, a mentor is so crucial to the strong development of advancement for the person who needs it. Thank you to every mentor. That was from one of our audience members. So I just thought I would read that for those of you who didn't hear it over your screen reader. And yeah, I think mentors are very crucial for the development of anyone. So like, yeah, no matter what age, you can always have a mentor, and they're everywhere if you are looking for one.
Absolutely. Hats off and snaps to all of the mentors. And finally, Cynthia, what nugget of wisdom would you want to share with all of us in the audience when we continue to think about mentorship and the evolution of mentorship?
Two things. Don't be fearful to ask questions, because if you don't ask, you won't ever have the answers. And second, my mantra, be big, brave, and bold to maintain your confidence level.
Well said, and that's so beautiful. Thank you, everyone, all of our panelists, Melissa, Daniel, Neva, Amy, Cynthia, and Kevin, who was also here earlier today to share. Thank you for all of your experiences, honesty, lessons learned, and for being just so humble and honest and open to sharing best practices and resources with everybody. We're all a community. Hopefully, and everybody I think is part of that journey, we can continue to advocate and champion the importance of mentorship and why it's so critical that we get more support, both volunteers in the program, TVIs and teachers who refer folks, as well as support from the funding side to really continue and sustain the great work that everyone is doing. I've been very honored and humbled to moderate this panel. Thank you for everyone sharing stage with me today, and also for audience members participating with us. I'm going to transition back to Richard, Olaya, and Steve to provide any final logistical or conclusion remarks. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Anne, and thank you, everybody. Such a profound conversation, and thank you to our panelists. Panelists, if you would like to put your contact information in the chat box so folks can reach out to you, by all means, feel free to do so. If there are any questions out there in the chat, we can try to address them in the next 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to invite our partners, Steve and Cayenne and Derek, if you're still with us. Do you have any thoughts or questions or things on this last panel?
Thank you, Richard. I would just say that it's been great to be a part of this panel. I hope our work on this effort continues, just like the work in peer mentoring. So.
Thank you, Steve. And Cayenne, are you with us? And did you have any closing remarks?
I don't see her anymore.
Okay.
She may have dropped off or had to go.
And do we have any questions in the chat for our panelists, Olaya?
Other than making sure that, because there's been a lot of requests for our panelists' emails, if you all don't mind putting your contact information, your email into the chat, that would be great. If you don't mind getting emails and questions from people in our audience, which I know I don't, I love it. That means that people are really wanting to learn more and get out there and help our clients and our students or consumers. Let's see, I don't see any in particular question. Oh, here's one. Let's see, I know that the second session programs yesterday used PREET's funding and were paid, and Melissa and I believe offered, oh, I see, this was something from Steve. Never mind, I thought it was a question. Yeah, I don't necessarily see any particular questions. I think you guys really helped answer throughout throughout all of the panel discussions, answered a lot of the questions that were coming up in the chat. So I think Jerry Zhang, or I'm not sure, I apologize for how to pronounce your last name. I was asking Amy for the name of her organization.
And that was a Vista Center for the Blind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Lucas has a raised hand.
Mark Lucas. Let's acknowledge Mark there, Olaya.
Mark Lucas. Let's see. Is he?
I think they're in the audience.
They're in the audience. Oh, okay. Should I bring him up? Let's see. Mark. Okay, he got his hand up actually. I'll allow him to talk. How's that? Can you hear us, Mark?
I can, loud and clear. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I am the recreation and I am the manager of camping and recreation services for Wayfinder Family Services in Los Angeles, California. And I am applying for a grant to the state of California to specifically mentor youngsters between the ages of 14 and older in careers in environmental education. And so I'll be announcing shortly the dates for the next Camp Bloomfield. The camp burnt down in Malibu, but we have found a new camp and we'll be announcing what that is soon. But specifically, I'll be recruiting youngsters who are blind and visually impaired to serve as counselors in training at this summer camp from June to July. My specific questions for anyone are, and you could email me offline or maybe give me a few pointers now, where can I recruit youngsters to work in this program to serve as counselors in training? And they would have a camp counselor who would be a mentor with them at the camp. And so the whole premise of the grant is to provide the youngsters opportunities in the outdoors and direct them to careers in environmental education, outdoor education. So where can I recruit youngsters and what careers do you think I could steer them to? Thank you.
And Mark, can you drop your email in the chat box? And if any of our panelists can wrap on this within 2 minutes or less so we can segue to the opening keynote, go for it.
The CABS student email list for NFB would be a good one. It's California Blind Students Association, I think is what it's called. That's a great one. I have a student who's interested in environmental science, but I believe he's in the Bay Area, so I don't know if that would work.
I was going to say contact the School for the Blind in California.
That would be a good one too.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind people from other states, by all means, like for CITs, I'm not sure if you do, but if you don't mind that, then definitely dive into some of these major listservs and other groups like that for people as well. And I do know a few who are in college right now who are going for environmental science, who are applying to. So it might be beneficial to go outside of California if you want to get people as well in the field of interest.
Excellent. And an excellent Facebook group to join would be the National Association of Blind Students.
There's also, that one's a good one. And there's also a California one. There's also an agency up here that we partner with called Environmental Travel Companions, ETC. They already work with a lot of people with disabilities. So that might be a good one because they're all volunteer. And
yeah, they are good.
Yeah.
Where are they called?
Environmental Travel Companions, ETC.
And they're based out of Marin or the Bay, Sausalito. They do kayaking and all kinds of things.
Yeah, we're using them for kayaking. So they're up here in the Bay Area as well.
Yeah,